what's your emergency?
Welcome back to That Weewoo Show, a podcast where we watch and discuss episodes of the ABC show 911. I'm Bex.
I'm Alice.
And I'm Ellen.
As always, thank you to everybody who has listened to our episodes, who shared social media posts, and rated us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you can rate us. And a special shout out to everyone who has left comments on any of our social media platforms. This week's special Caramella Koala Award goes to Celtic Witch on YouTube, who left us a note on our episode of Eddie Begins, sharing some perspectives that she had found on Tumblr with regards to the infamous juice box scene with Eddie and his mother. So thank you very much for sharing that perspective. As we said in the comments, that's not something that we had really considered when we were watching it, and you are correct. It is amazing how different experiences colour how we view different characters and scenes. Everyone's perception and everyone's lived experiences bring different ideas to the table, different perceptions when watching, consuming media.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So before we get on to Season 3 finale, Alice, could you remind us what happened last week?
Yeah, big one last week. So Athena was badly injured in a fight with a serial rapist before Bobby and Michael destroyed the Bethena fireplace. Karen accused Hen of cheating, causing Hen to reveal she's thinking about going to med school. And the episode ended with a huge train derailment, which was reported by a previous 911 dispatcher, Abby.
Abby returns.
Dun dun dun.
So this episode, the finale, episode 18, has the title What's Next? It first aired on the 11th of May 2020, which we've actually shifted by a couple of days, I think, and we're not actually in line with it this week. I don't know what's happened. Maybe we're recording earlier than usual.
Yeah, we're doing Friday instead of Sunday.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute, don't we normally line up at the moment? But no, May 11th. And the official summary says the 118 rushed to the scene of a train crash. They rushed to save lives in the aftermath of a massive train derailment. That's it. That's all she wrote.
Yeah.
That's basically everything that happens in this
Which makes
episode.
it seem like a much, much bigger deal than it actually turns out to be in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, there is some of the beginning of the episode which is dedicated to the actual train derailment, but the rest of it is just rescuing everybody. So I guess that is the bulk of the episode.
No, but
though.
even like the 118 rushes to rescue it makes it seem like the rescue is going to be a much bigger deal
Than two people?
Then in my opinion, than two people. In my opinion, it does not live up to the expectations that are set by the teaser that we got at the end of last episode.
Yeah, but it was emotionally
We'll get to that.
brought by the fact by who the
But
person
we will
is.
get to that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I've got thoughts about that too. Don't you worry about that.
Okay, so before we start,
Meanwhile,
we
I
have
have
to
thoughts
mention
about the scent detection dog, but you know.
we have to. We'll get there. We've got to say the triggers first. That's what we do. We've got the mention of cancer. We have a discussion of rape. We have flashbacks to the assault that happened in the previous episode. I assume that's Athena.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mass injury and fatalities, including children at threat and a trail derailment, which causes a lot of destruction and people die. But we don't start right from where we left off in the previous episode. We got a bit of
Of course not.
a bit of a David Wallace
never
to get to know first before the train comes. So we're going. The first scene is on the train before the accident happens. We have Elvis playing. We have Mystery Train by Elvis. I don't know this song from the title, and I can't remember how it goes. But
Something
anyway,
about a train.
yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of like possibly stereotypical train passengers in this carriage. We have a young person who is making too much noise, and we have older people who are annoyed by it, which seems like a fixture of every train journey.
Yeah.
But the young person who's making the noise is like a young lady who is drumming on the back of the seat, which is just really, I can understand why the guy is really annoyed.
We do have to mention that the young woman who is doing the drumming is Rumor Willis, who is Bruce Willis and Demi Moore's daughter.
I had
Really?
no idea that that's who it was until
yes,
I was just reading the notes then.
Wow.
And she also appeared in Doc Odyssey not so long ago, and I was in the chat with Alice when I was watching it going, genetics is so fucking weird because Rumor Willis is Bruce Willis's skull shape with Demi Moore's face.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to have to go back and have a look at her now. Oh, that's so funny.
But she does not get a name in this entire thing. I'm pretty sure she has a name because it comes up in the closed captions, but it does not get uttered at all in the episode. So she's either going to be Drummer Girl or Rumor Willis, depending on what we want to call her as we're discussing this.
Fair enough. Abby is also in this carriage for a little bit, but she gets up and she looks mildly annoyed by the drummer girl as well. But she walks through the carriages to the dining car where she's going to go to the bar and get a drink, apparently.
My notes just said, I'm sure this train won't meet a terrible end, with a smiley face.
Well, we've already seen the terrible end, so we know it's coming, but...
Exactly.
We already know it makes a terrible end.
No, I'm sure it's a different train. This one will be fine.
There's some rowdy people in the dining car who've got their feet up on the divider between the booths. Like, I don't know, they're just
Not
being
even just their
stupid.
feet, their bare feet.
Oh.
Like they've taken their shoes off and put their feet up.
The bartender is so unprofessional here, though. Like, so she asks Abby what she can get Abby. And as Abby's placing the order, the bartender starts yelling at the guy. Like, wait till she's done the order. It's not going to destroy the train if they've got their feet up. Like, what the fuck, guys? Anyway, super unprofessional, but Abby orders a sidecar on a train. Because she's a sucker, apparently.
And then Abby
I don't
just...
know what's in a sidecar.
I don't know what a sidecar is either. I didn't look it up.
I think it's a fairly classic cocktail, but I'm not sure either.
Cognac based, apparently.
Ooh.
It is cognac, orange liqueur, and fresh lemon juice with a sugared rim.
That sounds pretty
Very
nice.
fancy for a train. But yeah, Abby tells the bartender that at a Ukrainian wedding, the bride has to keep her shoes on because otherwise the guests will steal them and drink wine out of them for good luck. And in Australia, that's called a shoey.
That just sounds like a shoey. Although we're not drinking wine.
It's
out
generally
of shoes.
beer.
We're drinking beer. Yeah.
Whenever I hear about people doing that, I'm like torn between like, yay, culture, and like,
Oh, it's disgusting.
so revolting.
It's
Oh,
so
no.
gross.
So revolting.
One of my...
Oh no, so like Australian culture is drinking like fermented hops out of someone's used footwear.
Yeah, used footwear.
Yeah, that's our
One of my
culture.
exes, when like we broke up and then like we tried to make it work again after a while, and he was telling me how like he went to something and did a shoey and it gave me immediate ick, and I was just like, yeah, nah, we're done here.
That's fair.
Like, no, not happening. That's disgusting.
My ex, I can't remember the exact story, but it was either he did a shoey or he watched a guy do a shoey out of his prosthetic limb.
Oh my god.
Well, that's probably marginally more hygienic than a shoe.
Oh,
No,
I don't know.
Because it got like the stump sitting in there and it's like getting sweaty and hot and
Oh, okay.
There's usually a sock, but yeah, no, nah.
no.
That's disgusting.
No.
So getting away from shoeys, we get a bit of exposition here where the bartender asks Abby why she's on a train. Like, why is she taking the train instead of flying, I guess. And she says she spent a lot of time in Europe and fell in love with train travel. And the bartender's like, well, this is Phoenix to LA. It isn't exactly the Orient Express. And Abby just says, well, Phoenix is home and LA used to be home. So it's like, that doesn't answer the question. But sure, okay. And when the bartender asks if someone's waiting for her at LA, she says no, because he stopped waiting for me a long time ago.
Oh.
And we cut immediately to Buck, who is reading a brochure about summer camp of Eddie's son.
Yeah, no, Buck's not going on summer camp.
I just love that she's
Chris
like,
wants to go to
she's
summer
talking to the bartender about he stopped waiting for me, and then it cuts immediately to Buck and Eddie talking about summer camp.
About their son going to summer camp.
Perfect.
Yeah, apparently Eddie brought the brochures to the station house so that the 118 could talk him into letting Christopher go. However, Buck is immediately on the you cannot let him go to summer camp. That's 2 weeks away from home. What if something happens? What if he gets homesick?
Like, our child is too young for that. What are you doing?
Oh, he's so concerned.
So while this conversation is going on, in the background, Eddie is timing Hen doing a test of some kind. And then, while everyone else continues talking, he is grading her test for her.
Mm-hmm.
And Chim and Bobby are cooking dinner as well.
So that's what's happening on the background. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if Chim's helping or if he's just eating, like, bits.
He looks like he's helping.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty much what I was doing tonight. Mum was like, can you come help me with dinner? And I spent the whole time feeding beans to the birds, so...
But isn't that the prerogative of being a sous chef? You get to, like, snack as you're cooking.
Yeah.
Totally. Or the actual chef.
Bobby is very firmly on pro-camp because he apparently is a seasoned camper, started going to sleepaway camp when he was 8, including slightly probably racist / cultural appropriation camp name and yodeling.
Yeah. He's doing the thing, he's getting so excited, and I'm like, oh, Dad, come on. Like,
what did the yodeling sound like? Bex, do you want to demonstrate?
Does anyone want to try doing the
Fuck
yodeling?
no. If you want to hear what the hell yodeling sounds like, the episodes are available on possibly a streamer of your choice. You can look it up. We will put the timestamp in the episode notes so you can go straight to that part of the episode. I'm not even going to attempt to do it.
And yeah, he looked forward to it every year, and Chim's saying, like, Chris is a city kid, and Bobby's like, St. Paul's is a city? Chim's like, if you say so. It's like, dude, not every city is as big as LA.
But Hen's just trying to sell Denny on the idea of 2 weeks without the internet.
Yeah, my kids would never survive. I'll tell you.
Eddie gives Hen's paper back to her, and she is disappointed with her results because she only scored a 504, and she wanted a 511 or above. And Eddie's trying to reassure her that her score was pretty good. She says that getting into medical school at this point in her life is going to be hard enough. She can't afford to be average. She needs to be an exceptional applicant. Which starts off a ring of everyone praising Hen and telling her that she's going to be great. And she's going to get in and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Except, like, when they get around to Chim, everyone just looks at him and he's like, what? Except then he goes, he sort of rolls his eyes a bit and goes, Hen, you're brilliant. You don't need a test to prove it. So he's obviously still not on board with the idea of her leaving to go and do medicine.
No.
Yeah, he's still a little salty.
But Hen gets distracted from her, like, average test results by her phone because Athena has texted her to ask if they can hold May's graduation party at the Karen and Hen household. Which she asks Bobby, like, Bobby, why is your wife asking if I can host May's graduation party? And Bobby's like, Our living room is kind of under construction right now.
As soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh no, they've trashed the house.
Oh no.
So we cut to the Athena construction site. And Athena's
And
not
as
happy.
as predicted, Athena is not pleased. She's like, I was in the hospital for 4 days and you two lose your minds.
See, I don't know whether she's mad because they destroyed her house or whether they destroyed her house right before she's expecting 50 people over to her house to host a party.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if they'd done it at a better, like during better timing, she's like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Perhaps, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, it's probably a bit of
Probably
both.
would have admitted that. She probably would have admitted at another time that she too hated that fireplace. But how is she going to put on, keeping up with the Joneses if, she's got a construction zone in her living room?
May's trying to make her feel better by saying, like, we don't need to have a party. Like, you just got out of the hospital. It's okay. But Athena is insisting that she has to have a party and cake and photographs with a fireplace that does not look like a pile of rubble.
I love that Harry immediately comes in and goes like, do you need to, take any more of it down? Do you need to finish taking it down? Because I can help.
Yeah, he's keen.
He wants to swing that hammer too. And Athena's like, no, you are not touching it. Your father broke it and he's going to fix it. And Michael's like, okay, this is my exit. Like, yes, I will fix it. I will go home right now. I will do some sketches and I will fix it. And he starts to, flee the house.
And just then Hen has texted back to say that there's not enough room at her place for parking for all of her guests.
So May reiterates at this point, look, we don't need a party. And Harry's like, since when did you not want a party? And May immediately just throws her father under the bus and going, Dad, didn't you have a doctor's appointment? I'm going to deflect all the attention to Michael, who freezes on the stairs like a deer in headlights.
So Michael's results are in and Athena offers to go with him. But Michael's like, no, the doctor's going to go over the scans with me and then we'll know what's next.
The words. I don't have any alcohol with me tonight.
Who wrote this episode? Bex?
You mean you can't guess?
I did not think that she did that in this episode.
It doesn't.
Until
I don't
had
think
to
it
sit
happens a
down
lot.
and go through the... But it happens enough to make it obvious, especially it happens in pairs.
Yeah.
This is not... It's one person will say, what's next, and another person, their line of dialogue, will immediately have what's next in their line of dialogue. In case anybody's wondering, this is a Kristen Rydell co-written episode.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but we've got Juan Carlos... I've forgotten his name, sorry. What's the other guy's
Juan
name?
Carlos Gota.
Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently Kristen wrote the dialogue.
Yeah, but he's excellent at writing the tense kind of action scenes, right? I seem to remember that from other episodes of his. So at least we've got some good stuff in between the awkward dialogue, maybe.
In between the blatant episode title shout-outs.
Yeah. So, yeah, he tells her that, the doctor's going to go over the scans and then we'll know what's next. And Athena says, good news, that's what's next. It's like, okay.
Okay.
She's still mad, but she's determined. At least it's going to be good news.
She's still mad, but he needs to fix her fireplace.
He can't die of cancer before he fixes her fireplace.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm sorry, too much?
Well, I mean, we know what happens in the end, so it's okay, I guess.
So that's why I'm happy to joke about it.
Yeah.
But then we go to dispatch. So Josh has done his victim impact statement, and apparently he did a lot of research on the do's and don'ts of it. And Maddie's like, it's very thorough. And when I read this, I know exactly what Greg did to you. What I don't understand is how you feel about any of it.
Yeah, Josh can't understand why that matters. It's like, it's an impact statement, Josh.
That's the whole point of the victim impact statement.
Yeah, you have to say how it impacted you.
They know what he did, but, what's it done to you?
Yes.
I like how Maddie says, is this really what you want to say to him? And Josh says, I think the judge will discourage the use of curse words. But yeah, she tells him it should come from his heart. So, and then just then, Maddie lets out this huge yawn. And Josh is he's like, I'm trying not to be offended.
But his face is so offended. Like, I'm sorry, am I bored? Is me and my tragic struggles boring you?
Yeah. And yeah, it didn't occur to me that this was anything weird. Like, at the time it was weird. I was like, why is she tired? But we didn't get any resolution to that.
No,
immediately.
I'm going to put a pin in this because I have thoughts on this too. I have many thoughts on this episode. Oh my God.
Okay.
So meanwhile, back at the train, Abby's still at the bar and the drummer girl is still drumming.
Except the old guy in front of her has finally cracked the shits and has basically told her that she needs to stop.
But she's got a huge show at the Roxy, all right?
So he doesn't care, though. She needs to just stop. The other guy who was up in the carriage with them, who we later find out is Sam, and he's very... why the hell did I put Greg there?
Like, who is Greg?
Oh my God.
I call him Subway throughout the entire episode because he plays Subway in Community.
Oh.
Okay.
And he plays Keith in Scrubs.
Oh, so he's I was about to say he gets around, but so he's a working actor.
I think I recognise him from Scrubs, actually.
Like, considering in both of those, he gets around is a good way to put it.
Okay.
But yeah, Community, he literally plays Subway, like the restaurant chain, like the fast food chain. Yeah, like he plays Subway. His name is Subway.
Right.
Okay. But no, we later find out that this is Sam. He kind of tries to talk the older man off his ledge, tries to calm him down. Just
in the driver's compartment of the train, in the engine, I'm guessing, the driver is, trying to stop the train, but there's sparks in the wheels and the brakes aren't working, basically.
The signal box is sparking, and like instead of being like the part that switches where the track is going to go is just like rocking back and forth.
Points. Yeah, the points are electronically controlled, but the signal box that's controlling the points is just out of control, so the points are moving backwards and forwards, which means that the train is not going to go down one track or down the other. It's not going to be good, as the driver says.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he slams on the brakes, but a train going that fast, it's going to take it a while to slow down, and it does not slow down before it hits the points. And so chaos ensues. There's lots of flashing lights with a train whistle, brakes screeching, people get thrown around, the camera spins. It's all very dramatic.
Yeah, and we see the train derailed. But then we're going to jump back in time for the second time, because this is like the second time we saw the train crash, and now we're going to go for a third time.
It's been way too long since we had a weird 911 time jump.
This episode is very timey-wimey. So we're going back 10 minutes before.
I swear it's a model train set. Because I cannot see, when they do those big overhead shots of the crash site, there is no, bricked up tunnel with little trees around. I swear I watched this and went, oh, so we're doing a close-up of a train set, and it's going to be someone playing with a model train set, and that's going to be, something to do with the big train coming through. But either they lost that footage, it got cut, or someone went, shit, we need some establishing footage of this RV park. We forgot to get some. I know, Tim just ran down to his basement where he's got a giant model train set up and just took footage of that and chucked it in the episode.
Maybe.
I don't know. Because at this point, Tim Minear is editing these episodes in his house. So they can't go out and do any more shooting.
Oh, yeah, because COVID. So-
COVID hit at this, like, they stopped filming. They stopped filming around January, February, and then Tim has said in an interview that he just stayed at home to edit the last 4 episodes.
Oh my God, really? Well, that explains a few things.
Which it really does, doesn't it? Like why there is a shot of a model train set in this episode.
Oh. Well, he did great. He did a great job if he was doing it at home on his own. Don't they employ, like, editors to do stuff? Like, why was he doing it?
I don't know, but that's what he said. Although, I don't know how much you can believe what Tim says, but that's what he said.
Okay.
That he was editing it at home. Or maybe he was, like, doing the final edits of it or something. But I swear, somebody took their camera and went down to a model train set to get the establishing footage for the RV park. And they just hoped that nobody would notice.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
They did not count on
I was going to say they didn't count on you. Eagle eyes, Bex. So there's a man and a kid who are working on a car in the RV park. So they're working on a car and they manage to get it to turn over and everything. And then all of a sudden Donatello appears. So this is a guy who was in Supernatural as the prophet Donatello. And he's not a Ninja Turtle.
His name is Keith. Insert something Polish that I cannot pronounce.
Okay.
But yeah.
Is Donatello the prophet who's actually an atheist?
I don't think Donatello was an atheist. I can't remember. Donatello
I'm
was
not
the guy
pulling
who
up the
liked the
wiki.
fried chicken.
Yes. I'm pulling up the wiki.
He was the guy who lost his soul and then...
Yeah, no, Donatello, he's an atheist. And then he becomes a prophet and they're just like, yeah, not anymore.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I knew he lost his soul.
So yes, Donatello the Prophet, not the Ninja Turtle.
Yeah. But that's not his name in this.
No, I mean, I think his name is Rory, but I've just called him Donatello throughout this entire thing.
Yeah, me too.
He is the manager of the RV park.
Yep. Or caretaker or...
Angry guy of the RV park.
Yeah, he's not pleasant. I think the engine that the dad and the kid were fixing was the engine of their RV, and Donatello wants to know now that they've got the RV up and running, are they just going to sneak out of the park without paying because they've been there for 3 nights, which they have not paid, and he wants them gone.
And he tells them if they need to leave or he'll have them towed.
I like how he's like, I want my money, but just leave without my money. Like, what?
Yeah, but I don't think that they have the money to pay anyway, because we get the next little snippet of dialogue is the kid who has been trying really hard not to be caught listening to this conversation, shows his dad an empty jar of peanut butter and says that they're all out. And the dad says, okay, cool. There's a food bank not too far. We'll go there in the morning to get more food.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a bit more to it than that, because he goes out, he follows Donatello to his place and he says, you can't do this to us. You told me I had a week to find a job.
Well, he said that he never said that he had a week.
Yeah, I never said that to you. You pay, you stay. Those are the rules. Like, I'm confused.
Anyway, Donatello seems
We're
like a
all
bit of a dick.
confused.
He's laughing at the man not being able to find a job. The man says that he followed him in because his son shouldn't have to see his father beg. But I'm always telling him, just keep your head up. Keep your head up, because if you don't, you won't see all the good things that are coming.
All through this conversation, we can hear the train, which I'm guessing is supposed to be just like normal background noise because the RV park is right on the train line. But the train whistle is getting louder and louder and louder as this conversation continues.
Yeah, then we get more what's nexting. The man says, I don't know what's next. And Donatello starts shouting at him, what's next is reality. It's like, this doesn't even make any sense.
It's a really weird conversation.
It doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter.
Because immediately the train puts an end to this stupid conversation by crashing right through the middle of the cabin. So, bye.
And taking Donatello out.
Yeah.
Yeah, immediately through Donatello.
The dad survives it. He's fine. It's just one half of the cabin got taken out, I guess. And
Yes.
so
It's just Donatello. Everyone else is fine.
he's like run outside to look for his son, but their RV is not there anymore because the train carriages have wiped it out.
And once again, we get a very, very long shot of the devastation of the train derailment. And
Does this one look like the model train set?
I'm questioning. No, I don't know, but at this point I'm going, what went wrong with this episode that we're getting so much shots of this? Because this is starting to get a little bit ridiculous now. So the train has crashed through the RV. We've got Donatello taken out. There's absolute devastation. We go to commercial, and when we come back, we're nowhere near the trains.
Yeah, so we do have like two actual parallel storylines in this episode, right? Which are unrelated in any way.
And as you mentioned when you were first watching this episode, it's a real, like, disconnect.
Yeah, because they're not... Like, there's no excellent segues, I don't think, like we've had in other episodes where things have been tangentially related. This is just Athena with all of her case files working on her case, and the 118 are at the train thing, and they chop sort of back and forth without really being related at all.
Yeah, and it disrupts the flow of the episode because you get the high tension of the 118, and then you're back with Athena just sitting in her kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's important to see Athena's recovery. I just wish we'd got it earlier in the season.
Oh, it's an important storyline. I don't know that it should have been cut into this episode.
Yeah.
Either A, at all, or B, the way that they have done it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Athena is having a meeting with a victim's advocate, which is apparently somebody who helps victims of crime go to trial and testify in court. She's come to Athena because Athena is like not supposed to be working because she's still on leave.
Yes, you got the files spread out all over the table, and May comes in and says, "Are those all your realtor rapist files?" And Athena's like, "Please don't call him that." When we sang that last week, like, don't name the guy. He doesn't need a nickname of any kind.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she says that Dr. Sanford is coming, who's going to help all of them get through it.
Yeah, and the emphasis of it's going to help all of them. The very specific emphasis there.
Yeah. As in she's not one of them yet.
Yeah.
Which
Like,
doesn't
not
feel
us, them.
Like, it's them, yes. Dr. Sanford is played by Brooke Shields in this episode, which is just the most random thing because they don't use her at all in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like when they like opened the door, there should have been like the sitcom like applause when it showed Brooke Shields as well. Maybe I've just seen her in Friends too much.
There's so much waste in this episode. There's so many casting choices and characters brought in that just get wasted in this episode, and Brooke Shields is one of those.
Yeah, well, she fully just sits there and talks to Athena the whole time. Yeah, so she welcomes her into the house, and she says, "Oh, pardon our dust. While I was out, my home turned into a remodeling show, and it's not done." That's a nice way of saying, like, my husband lost his mind along with my ex.
It's not
my
even...
husband's...
Oh, yeah. My husband's... like, my husband and my ex-husband.
Yeah.
Which would have just been a whole nother conversation. So they go into the kitchen, and Kara, Dr. Sanford, looks surprised to see all of the files on the table and says to Athena, "Oh, you have the case files for the other victims." Athena's like, "Yeah, just, so I can, if you've got any specific questions, I can help you talk through all of the different victims and, Dr. Sanford's face is just like, oh shit. Sure. All right, let's do this.
It's like she's still working.
Like, this is not what I'm here for, but okay, we're going to have to go slow. Fine, let's do this. We then get the literal teaser from the last episode repeated, being the 911 call. And it's almost exactly shot for shot. It's like Tim's just cut the teaser from last week and dropped it into this episode. The only difference is that when Abby is talking, because we now know that it's Abby, we get a front shot. We don't just see her from the back to get the big dramatic reveal.
Yeah, I mean, we can cut him some slack because obviously if he's doing it in his basement or whatever, in his home office.
I just feel like he's, flaked out on the couch with an hoodie on.
Those COVID days.
Or a slanket, as Chimney would have wanted us to call it.
Slanket. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just... So he's used up time by inserting the 911 call from the last episode so that, we remember that there was a 911 call that went in and it was a very good 911 call. And then that leads into Maddie, of course, dispatching the 118 to the scene.
Yeah, so they've got a sort of incident camp set up. They've got a commander who's in charge of sending people to different bits of the disaster. More houses are en route. Search dogs. Folks are trapped in the passenger cars. So Bobby sends Buck and Eddie to go have a look.
Yeah, they've got one of the train carriages is literally vertical. And the incident commander says that they've got reports of people being trapped up there, but they can't get to them. So the Bobbsey twins get sent to check that out while everybody else works on the ground.
What's USAR?
Urban Search and Rescue.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to search and rescue in the city sort of area as opposed to out in the forests, search and rescue.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I only know that because of the earthquake episode where they were talking about USAR and I had no idea what it meant.
There we go.
So, there we go. So here's where things start to get fun because as Buck and Eddie are heading toward the train carriage, they walk past two firefighters from, I'm going to say two from the 153, but we don't actually know where the other one is from, restraining a woman who is trying to get into the train carriage that is vertical and begging them to let her get into that car. And Eddie, for dramatic reasons, decides that even though these two men clearly have it under control, he's going to step in and he's going to try and talk this woman down.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm sorry, ma'am, we can't let you get inside. It's dangerous. And the woman, which is Abby, is like, I know it's dangerous, but I need to get in there. And Buck, either summoned because Eddie has gone too far away from him, so he needs to come back within range, or because he heard Abby's voice, just freezes in the background.
And Abby kind of realizes at the same time because she looks at Eddie's helmet and goes, wait, are you from the 118? And that's where Buck looks over and goes, Abby? Just as Abby says, Buck? And Eddie's in the middle of it going, who the fuck are you dickheads?
It's like, I'm Eddie. Like, if we're doing introductions.
Abby, Buck,
Hi.
Eddie.
Yeah, but he knows who Abby is because, guaranteed the Bucks told him all about.
But he might never have seen a photo.
Yeah, but as soon as Buck said her. Abby, he's probably like, oh God, here we go.
That's probably the Abby, the
Abby?
Yeah, Abby.
The Abby. Buck immediately tries to drag Abby off to get checked out. Is like, wait, you were on the train, you got to get checked out. And it's this weird pulling backwards and forwards. He's literally trying to yank her in one direction. She's pulling out of his grip and trying to push past Eddie to get back to that train carriage. Buck's circling back around in front of her to get back in her way to stop her. Eddie's just standing there going like, what the hell is going on here?
Eddie's literally just like the man standing emoji.
It's not helping at all.
And we finally get an explanation for why Abby is so desperate to get up into that train carriage, because Greg Sam's Subway Keith dude is her fiance. She needs to get back to him. And
Buck's face.
Buck's reaction when she says fiance, he looks absolutely devastated. He looks like he's been pistol whipped.
Yeah.
So Eddie steps in, takes over, like, okay, so we need a description. Abby pulls out her phone, pulls up a photo of her and the dude to confirm for the audience that, yes, that dude up there was indeed her fiancé. And so they run off to go find him. Well, Eddie runs off to go find him. Buck very stupidly makes a promise to Abby that they will find him and bring him back. Yeah. And as we've learned from every single medical, police, first responder procedural, you never make a promise.
Yeah. But he does get Sam's name out of her before he promises to save him and then disappears.
What's his name? Subway.
So at this point, they're climbing up the vertical carriage, and I'm just looking at it going, should you not wait until the carriage is slightly more secure before you go climbing in and like adding your weight to the top of the carriage? But
you would think, wouldn't you?
No, they just go right in there.
It's either that or Bobby's like, you two are the expendable ones, so I'm going to send you in.
You two are,
and if you happen
sharing the brain cell today, get up there.
Yeah.
If you happen to rescue anybody while you're in there, that's great. If something bad happens, At least you're both in the same position, so I'm not going to have one of you trying to do some stupid heroic shit trying to save the other one.
We don't need two cut lines.
Exactly.
Oh, I wouldn't put it past them. One of them's gonna. Anyway, as they climb up, they find some more people who are black tags, as Eddie calls them. So, you know, there's plenty of casualties in this crash already. But they have found, once they get right up the top of it, they find Sam. Sam's kind of conscious. He can speak, but he says it hurts when he breathes. And he asks Buck, he says, like, my fiancée, she's on the train. And Buck and Eddie kind of share a look. It's like, oh, fuck. She's okay.
Yeah, we know your fiancé's here. Trust us.
Why do you think we're here?
But he's pinned behind the chair, like one of the seats, because there's like a beam that's come through the floor and is like pushing the seat into him, squishing him.
Yeah, so they need the jaws. So on the ground, we cut to Bobby telling Chim that Buck and Eddie need the jaws, and he throws in the hydraulic ram just for shits and giggles. But before Chim can deliver said jaws and ram, the incident commander comes up and says that the search dog detail has just landed and she'd like a couple of medics to accompany the search dogs. And so he sends Chim and Hen off to accompany the search dog, and he personally delivers the jaws and the saw and the ram up to Buck and Eddie.
Yeah, they want to keep all the paramedics. Well, Bobby wants to keep all the paramedics on the ground because the vertical carriage is shifting. Like, it keeps falling down. Like, the angle keeps getting narrower. And Bobby climbs up the train.
And it is literally, I was counting. It was 20 seconds of watching Peter Krause climb. Which makes
it's like
me
real
think,
time.
like, either
they're getting his money worth. They're getting their money worth.
Well, that was
out of Peter.
That was the thing. Was it like Peter, we need you to climb this thing. And he's like, look, if I have to climb this thing, I need to be seen to be climbing this. You have to actually use this footage because I'm not doing this if you're just going to cut everything. So it's either they put all this footage in because it was the only way they could get Peter to do this very physical stunt, or once again, something went wrong with this episode in the editing suite and they just needed so much filler footage that they went, we don't actually need 20 whole seconds of Peter climbing, but I don't have anything else to put in this episode, so I'm putting this in.
I wonder, I was going to say, I wonder if they cut a storyline out of it or something.
I think they cut so much shit, or they just didn't film enough shit. I don't know. We can talk
maybe
about
they
it at the
didn't
end,
film
but yes,
enough before.
20 seconds of Peter Krause doing exactly the same thing we just saw Ryan and Oliver do, not even a minute ago.
But yeah, so Buck has the Jaws saws in the ram. Eddie gives Bobby the status report, so he's got a collapsed lung from the blunt force. His O2 levels are dropping, and in order to relieve the pressure, they've got to move the beam off him. But it's too heavy and it's not budging.
Yeah, so they get the machinery into position, but as they start to move the beam, they hear someone screaming, and it's the drummer girl. And she's pinned underneath this, in their seating positions, I guess, just a few seats in front of him, in front of Sam.
Yeah, if anybody has watched this episode, it can tell me the actual layout of where everybody is, because I have no idea whether she's above, below, beside.
She's below, but in space, because the train is still, so Sam is right at the top of where the train is, and she's a few seats below. But I don't know how...
Below and to the left? Below or to the right?
Well, in my head it's to the right, but I don't know if that's the truth.
Okay, but...
It's the beam's sort of going diagonally, and so it's pinning both of them, and if they move it towards her to free Sam, it hurts Sam, and if they move it
to lift it to get Sam out compresses her even more.
Yeah.
But I guess if they lifted it to get her out, it's going to compress Sam. So it's Sophie's choice here.
Literally, yeah. Anyway, so Drummer Girl says that her side really hurts. So Eddie takes a look, and there's a massive long bone sticking up into and then out of her side.
Oh, it's so disgusting.
And I'm trying to work out what I'm looking at while Eddie goes, the force of the crash pushed her leg up into her torso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this a thing that actually happens to people? Because
I don't know.
Yeah, have you not seen...
And I'm not going to Google to see if this is possible.
So this is actually what can happen if you are in a car accident with your feet up on the dashboard and the airbag can push your legs through your pelvis.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So do not put your feet up on the dashboard ever in a car. Ever. Okay. And I'm assuming it's happened because she was sitting sideways. And so when it's happened and the things, the beam things hit her, it's pushed it wrong.
So she's got an open fracture on her leg, which has perforated her torso.
Yeah.
Great. And that disgusted noise that you heard Alice made, that's pretty much the same noise Eddie makes when he sees what's happened. I'm like, dude.
Very professional there.
A little bit more professionalism there, please.
Eddie checks her foot. He takes her boot off. And...
Which, can we just, anybody who has ever worn a Doc Marten ever, can we just recognise that Doc Martens don't come off like that?
Yeah, you have to loosen quite a lot of laces before you get the boot off like that.
It's like that thing of, there was that episode in Supernatural where the boys had to take their boots off to come inside, and for some reason Dean is just able to toe out of his boots, and everyone's universally gone, there's no fucking way that he can toe out of a boot.
Not if he wants to run with it still on.
Yeah, unless the laces are so loose that they're barely hanging on to his feet.
Yes. But yes, despite having an massively open fracture, Rumor Willis's still has a pulse in her foot.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay. I don't want to think too hard about
which is
how it's working, but yes.
So Bobby summons Buck and Eddie away from the crash victims to have a little...
Sorry, hang on. I'm just distracted because you said that there's a growl to Oliver's voice, and now I've just got to check it for science.
It's just a very... I don't know. It's just very rough. And, I have a voice kink, and that just... Once again, I'm going to hell. I'm like down another level
on main
of hell.
Bex. Jesus.
Yes, well, apparently BuzzFeed don't listen to podcasts, so I'm fine. Ellen, for your
Ellen.
explanation, Ryan and Oliver are doing a BuzzFeed interview, but they're not doing the puppies interview. They're doing the reading thirst tweets.
Oh, no.
Yes, and so a lot of 911, like on Twitter and on TikTok, are freaking out because BuzzFeed has perceived them, and now Ryan and Oliver are going to perceive them.
Oh dear.
Right, so back to this. So Bobby has pulled Buck and Eddie away because they need to have a talk about which person they are going to prioritize trying to save, because they're both trapped by the same beam. They take the pressure off Sam, they're squeezing Rumor Willis, vice versa.
I'm
Bobby
pretty sure
wants
that's
Eddie's
Eddie
professional
that
opinion
has the
on
growl.
which one.
Just letting you know. I'm pretty sure that's Ryan that has the growl, not Oliver.
No, it's Buck, because it's like on the camera is on him as he says that line.
Nah, I'm pretty sure that's Eddie.
That's better, I guess, for me. I'm not quite going to hell as badly.
Yeah, that's definitely Eddie.
Okay, good. My soul is still tarnished, but not as badly tarnished. Anyway.
BuzzFeed just slid into Bex's DMs as we're recording. We haven't even uploaded it yet. And they're just like, what was that? Anyway, what are we up to?
Okay.
Yes, they have to pick who
Bobby
they're going to save.
Bobby is asking Eddie's professional opinion which of the two victims has a better shot. And Eddie is like, the injuries are different, but the risk is the same. And Buck is like, wait, what are we saying? We have to pick who we're going to save? And Bobby's just like, I'm just saying I don't think we can save them both. And so we go from that really high, emotional, tense, what the hell are you talking about scene to a commercial, and when we come back, it's Athena.
Yeah. And they're discussing... Well, she's sitting at the table with Brooke Shields, and they're discussing how, like, the different victims and how they're going to feel about discussing the crimes, basically. And that's this whole scene, I guess.
Yeah, so they go through a couple of the different victims, and then they get to one of them, and Athena says that she'll be great on the stand, but she is the one that Athena worries about most because all her statements are peppered with, I should have known, I should have realised. And Brooke Shields goes, so she blames herself, thinks if she had done something different, maybe it wouldn't have happened. And I can't help but notice that there's a file missing from this table. And just
like, there's a
stares
second
at
when
Athena.
Athena's going like, wait, I missed one? Did Lou forget to...
Yeah.
Right. Me. You're talking about my file. And she's like, no, but I don't count in this. Like, Jeffrey's attack on me was nothing like the attack on the other women. Your focus should be on them.
Yeah, and Brooke Shields is telling her that it's not fair to compare traumas, and the attack on her was pretty brutal as well. And apparently Athena is compartmentalizing her attack because she says she doesn't remember most of it, and people say that she's lucky that she doesn't remember it.
Dr. Sanford says that they are wrong. Everyone is wrong because, yes, sometimes the brain's way of protecting us is to block out painful memories, but she has never met somebody who feels better because they don't know what has happened to them. And at this point, Athena realized that Dr. Sanford was never here to talk about all the other victims. She was here specifically to talk to Athena. But she tells her that she's not ready to talk about what happened. She's quite happy with her little compartment.
And Kara doesn't push. She just says, I will leave this here for when you are ready. She sort of hands over a file and then she leaves.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Why did you bring Brooke Shields in for that?
Yeah.
She comes back later, but that's basically the tone of the whole of her involvement. So it's very nice and caring, and, you know, it's important that Athena faces these things. But when it's got the emotional whiplash of the train crash,
we have to pick someone, like, who lives, who dies, and then, yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird choice.
But we are going to go back to the RV Park of Doom.
Yes.
With more long, lingering overhead shots of the location of the train crash, because, you know, we got to stretch everything out. And then we get the dog squad.
The dog squad. So it's this beagle.
Is it a beagle or is it Jack Russell?
100% a beagle.
It's a beagle.
It's a beagle.
Okay, I don't know dogs. I defer to your professional opinion.
Beagles are amazing scent dogs. Anyway, it's 100% a beagle. And I was laughing so much because they get the dog squad in and the dog runs over to this, like, dead body that's literally just, like, behind a fire truck. Like, it's out in the open behind a fire truck. Like, did they not even check when they parked the fire? Like, did they run this guy over when they parked? Like, it's literally just out in the open behind the fire truck. And I'm watching it like,
no.
huh?
I was more laughing at the fact that, like, you bring in a dog to find a body that's in the middle of the so good dog. You found the one that everyone walked.
Yeah, we already found that one.
The whole point is that that, like, they find things that are, like, find people that are trapped that are unconscious and can't, like, yell out. But no, like, let's find the one that's behind the fire truck out in the open. Anyway, they're like, look, the dog can sniff someone with treats. Isn't it a good little dog? Yes, it is. So Hen checks the pulse and is just like, yep, nah, black tag. So they've black tagged it, the guy that's been run over by the fire truck. And then they come across the dad from earlier, who's yelling for his son. He's not hurt, but he's still looking for his son, still hasn't found him. Son's named Milo. I can't remember if we mentioned that.
Yeah, I don't know how long he's been yelling for his son for, like... It feels like we've been here forever.
Because they're just behind the fire truck. Like, they didn't even go further into the RV. They're just behind a fire truck. So they start looking for the kid. The kid's 15, black hair, green shirt, and they give the dog a rag that, like, the kid used to clean his hands with. And then we find out that the dog's name is Richard.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
That is
Richard's
a people
trained
name.
only to track human scents, and so it doesn't matter that it's got antifreeze or coolant on it because chemicals won't confuse him.
Okay, is that real? Like,
yes.
Yes.
Okay. They are taught. So Autumn's starting to learn scent work. She'd be a lot further, but I'm lazy. But yeah, so, like, you can put, like, food and the scent in the same thing and they know to go for the scent, and that's how they do with, like, drug detection dogs and stuff like that as well. It's really cool. But you can teach them, so the way to teach, like, the diabetic alert dogs is when you're having a low, you basically, like, get a rag or, like, an old t-shirt or something that, like, while you're having the low, and then reward them for smelling that. And so then when they smell that on you, they'll start alerting you.
Oh.
That's cool.
So basically they're asking for treats.
Yeah, they do it for food generally. So different dogs have different, like, it depends on how like, what their alert is.
Yeah.
So, like, some dogs will just nose at it, some dogs will stare at it, some dogs will paw at it. Generally, these sort of dogs are taught to either nose at it or, like, stare. Some are taught to bark. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Dogs are amazing. Cool. Like, the stuff that they can smell is incredible. And it's funny because the scent work that we do, like for the trials, is smelling like, so the first level is birch. So it's literally like smelling a tree.
Well, Richard, with his people name, has located the boy.
No, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we can just skip over the next because it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, they basically give Sam some painkillers.
And we find out that he's got kids. So that's literally it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
they're
the
getting
wedding's
married
in
in June, yeah.
Yeah, Eddie forces Buck to bond with him in order to keep Sam awake. Because he's cruel and sadistic like that.
Yeah.
So Buck is bonding with his ex-girlfriend's new fiancé. Meanwhile, Richard is finding Milo.
Yeah.
And apparently his alert is to start trying to dig Milo out of wherever he was trapped.
Aw. Good boy, Richard.
Yeah.
What a good boy.
Oh my god, that just sounds wrong.
It's not a dog name, right?
It's really not, especially when you say things like that.
Anything can be a dog name if you're brave enough.
But it means you go out in the park and you have to call, like, Richard.
That's literally, whenever we have new owners, we're always like, name them something that you're not going to be embarrassed if you're standing in the middle of a park surrounded by people. Name them something you're not embarrassed to yell at the top of your lungs.
Yeah. All right, so Milo is trapped underneath something, but he can't move, and he says, he doesn't think he can move, and he can wriggle his toes.
Which Hen says that she's guessing that if he can wiggle his toes, whatever injury Milo has is not spinal. But then she's doing something, like I think she's got her hand around the back of his neck or something, and she's feeling around and says that she can't locate the occiput ligaments. And which apparently are the ligaments that holds your head and your spine together.
Oh, this one also gave me the ick. I was like, oh no. So Chim says that there's a dislocation. He's seen it in car accidents, but he's never seen someone who's still talking after it. In front of the patient. Like,
yeah,
you can't say things like that, Jim.
In front of the patient and his dad.
But he said it all. It's all like medical talk. So it's atlanto-occipital dislocation. The dad's like, "What is that?" And Hen goes, "Oh, it's an internal decapitation."
Yeah.
Like, Henrietta.
What? Yeah.
His spine is intact. It's just not connected to his skull anymore.
And the dad's like, but he's alive.
They just need to get him to a hospital so the surgeons can reattach his ligaments. Like, it's easy. But they also need to cool the saline to preserve as much nerve and tissue as possible. So Chim just finds an ice cooler magically.
He saw a cooler. He's going to go get ice. I don't know where he's going to get the ice from, but he's going to get ice.
I think we've spoken already that they're called eskies here, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we went over that. That time.
Yeah, because I called it an esky, and then you guys went, no, we've got to translate that for the Americans. It's a cooler.
Americanese.
So, back up in the train carriage of doom, Bobby has decided to play God, and he has chosen the girl. He wants to get the girl out. Which Buck immediately just went, no. If we do that, it's going to kill Sam. And Bobby's like, yes, I'm aware of that.
Yes, we went over this already, Buck.
We save whoever has the better chance. And Eddie is saying that the girl has a better chance. And Buck just flat out says no.
Yeah, no.
And Eddie's trying to explain it to him, like medically, Sam's not doing so well. She's doing okay. And Buck's like, oh, no, okay, fine, you're right. So why don't I go on the outside of this very precariously leaning train carriage, and then I cut through the side of the train carriage, and then we can get them both out that way.
Yeah.
Bobby's like, no, because the train carriage isn't secure.
Yeah, so if the
That's why
thing
we're working on the
topples,
inside.
then they can write it down. But if he's on the outside, Buck's like, yeah, I'll be crushed by 100 tons of train car, whatever.
No. I could be trashed by 100 tons of train car, and I know that's a lot heavier than a fire truck.
Yes.
So this is where Eddie basically dobs Buck into Dad.
Yeah. He's like, I know you made a promise. And Bobby's like,
Bobby's,
oh,
what promise?
What the fuck?
Buckley, what did you do?
And Buck goes to his fiancée, I promised I'd bring him down to her. And then Eddie, in the most bitter way, she goes to Abby. His fiancée's Abby.
And Bobby's like, oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, yep. I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
Buck's like, no. It's not just because of her. Like, he has 2 daughters. He's a father. And Bobby's like, no.
Like, no, it's 100%.
You're too close to
this.
this.
Get out. To Abby. His fiancee's Abby.
Abby. I love that. And then Bobby's just, oh my god, reaction. It's just perfection.
Eddie's literally like, when he's saying that, it's like the angry emoji, and then to Abby, his fiancee's Abby, and then the angry emoji.
But then this gets either better or worse depending on your perspective.
Ryan Racting Royces.
Because Bobby is trying to tell Buck what he's planning to do is too risky. And Buck says, well, I am willing to take that risk. And Bobby says, but it's not your risk to take. You can't just rush into any dangerous situation and assume it's going to be okay, because sometimes it's not. And I am tired of being on the wrong side of those hospital visits. And Buck's brain is still wrapped up in the whole Abby thing, and he goes, well, Bobby, I'm not Athena. Completely forgetting about every single time, and I counted, there's been at least 3 of them, that Buck has been in a hospital bed and Bobby has been sitting at his bedside.
Aww.
Yeah.
Bobby just like looks at him and is like, what did you say to me? And Eddie clearly recognizes that Bobby is like very close to like literally throwing Buck out of this train carriage.
Just like tossing him down vertically. Nope.
We've seen Bobby manhandle Buck when Buck pushes him too far before. It's just like the stakes would be so much higher if we did it at this point. He tries to get between the two of them, like, come on, we don't have time for this. Tries to get Buck to back off. Buck doesn't back off. Bobby doesn't back off. And then we go to commercial.
I love how they were all just having a big argument in the middle of the train carriage.
With 2 critical patients, just like,
yeah,
guys?
it's like, can you guys stop arguing and come and rescue us, please?
Like, we'll pick between ourselves. It's fine. We rock, paper, scissors for it.
Subway's like, fuck this, I'm fucking out. Like, you can, I don't even care anymore.
Why are you so obsessed with my fiance?
Oh, no.
Wait, did you say your name was Buck?
Yeah, like, he doesn't realise until later, but, like, they're right there, and they're saying, his fiancée is Abby. It's like, can he not hear that from where he is?
No, he's pretty, like, at this point, he's decompensating, so.
Okay.
Like, why are you so obsessed with my fiancée? Oh, did she ever tell you about the himbo that she dated?
To be fair, I don't think she ever called him the himbo.
She didn't.
No.
Then we have another weird Bethina house moment.
Yeah, it's just a flash of what Athena's up to. Like, she just
reads a file.
She has a glass of wine with her as to fortify her, and as she opens the file and has a look. But
I'm always reading wine drinking wine when I'm reading about my traumas. Reading wine, you know. I don't want to read the trauma. Although I did work in a wine bottling plant, so reading wine labels might be the trauma.
Oh. That sounds like a cool place to work.
I mean, I was 18, didn't like wine, still don't, and just smelt of it constantly because it'd splash everywhere. So yeah, no. Dad loved it though, he got a lot of free wine. Very easy presents for that 6 months.
Well, she starts reading the file and starts flashing back to, like, the assault. So eventually she can't handle it, so she snaps it shut and leaves it. And we go back to the train.
Yeah.
We go back to the train,
emotional
where
whiplash.
after all of the talk of Abby, we're actually going to see Abby again. Can I just note that Abby's hair is still perfect and her white clothes are still perfectly white, even though she has been through a train derailment?
Yeah.
Of course her hair's still perfect.
She might have fixed it after she got out of the carriage.
And her glasses are also still intact.
Yeah.
So
maybe she didn't get thrown around as much.
She wasn't in the vertical ones, which is fine. Yeah.
The dining car might have been less thrown around, maybe.
At the very least, she should have a stain on the front of her shirt from where she spilled a sidecar over herself.
Yeah. Realism, people.
But that's... This show does not do realism. What are you talking about?
No, we've established this already.
So the point of this scene is, A, just because they needed to get Connie Britton, like, on screen again. Because they'd spent all this money to get her on an episode. And... yeah, there's no real point to this scene. She's on the phone with one of Sam's daughters, who is freaking out because Sam has not texted them, and he always texts, and Abby has to break the news to them that there has been a train accident and their dad is hurt. But he's going to be okay because he's in the best hands.
And we go back to, as you have described it, train carriage of Bobby is too tired to deal with Buck's shit. So he's just Buck has just gone ahead and done the thing, even though Bobby...
So we went through that massive argument of, this is too risky. It's not your risk to take. And then Bobby's just gone like, fuck it, do whatever you want. I don't care anymore at this point. So Buck is climbing the outside of the train carriage.
Yes.
And is trying to saw through the outside as he told Bobby that he would.
Yeah, I was watching this going, did we not just have an argument about how this was too risky?
Yes.
Yeah, there was no resolution. There was no, you know what, go do it, I don't even care anymore. There was nothing. It was literally just like, you can't do that. And then after an ad break, he's doing
the thing.
A few moments later, he's doing it.
And Bobby's right there looking up at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby's left the train carriage, ostensibly to try and get the train carriage more secure now that he has one of his firefighters on the exterior of the train, which is far riskier than being on the inside of the train.
Bobby's just like holding the car up.
Literally,
he's hulking,
using his
hulking
irradiated
out.
Hulk powers.
Finally, the radiation did something. Besides somehow give Michael a brain tumour.
Ooh. That's interesting.
I don't think brain tumours are like catching, though. I don't think you can be infected.
No, but he could have irradiated around Michael, which has caused the cells in the brain to start getting malformed.
Dun, dun, dun.
Damn it,
Just
Bobby.
Michael, though, not anybody else.
Yeah, just for Michael.
That's
Who,
terrifying.
glanced at him over a hallway.
We were just saying last week that he's his support person, so...
Yeah, because he's feeling guilty because he became brain cancer.
Jeez.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Let's stop writing fic.
Right,
and,
so Buck's on the outside, Eddie's on the inside being everybody's support person, reassuring Rumor Willis that she's going to get to the Roxby. She's not going to be drumming anytime soon, but they are going to get her out.
I mean, there is a drum. Oh, there's a drummer with one arm.
What?
You could drum with
But
one
her
leg.
gig's tomorrow night.
It's fine.
She's
She'll
going
be
to be in
fine.
hospital for
She'll be
a
right.
while.
She'll be right.
She's got her leg bone literally
She'll
sticking through her stomach.
It's just a flesh wound. She'll be right.
Tis but a flesh wound.
She can do the bass drum with her other foot. No problem.
Yeah, it depends on which leg it is, but I think it's a...
Oh,
Anyway.
boy.
No,
Okay.
Eddie is trying to convince them that you guys are going to be... No, he says, neither of you guys are missing anything. We're getting you out. It's like, no, they're going to be missing, like, the gig. Like, there's no way she's getting to... Yeah.
Yeah.
But...
Like, we get the sentiment, but
Yeah.
no.
the carriage starts to wobble around again and everyone's gasping and Buck's still trying to cut the outside of the carriage.
Yeah, there's literally an external shot of the crowd, like, gasping. The carriage wobbles.
Including, like, Bobby is standing looking up, kicking himself for letting Buck do this. Abby is standing there with, like, her hands clasped under her chin, clutching at her invisible pearls. It's like, oh my god. Although whether she's worried about Buck or whether she's worried about Sam, who knows at this point.
Bit of both. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Both is good.
So they're all watching from the ground. Buck cuts a hole in the side of the carriage and grins at Eddie through the hole.
Yes. Eddie's just looking at him going, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Why do I put up with you?
So they get the basket. And
okay, and now here's where the wheels start to fall off for me.
Yeah.
Because how does Eddie manage to get Rumor Willis out from under the beam and into the basket by himself within the confined space of the train carriage?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that when they were able to pull her out through the hole, they could also dislodge the beam. But Eddie is there on his own, and he's got to get her out. Like it, you're right.
And then he's got to get Sam out.
There's not enough people
by
in
himself.
there.
It's like they thought 3/4 of this through, and then they went, shit.
Yeah, it's close.
How
enough.
is this actually going to work in reality? We're just going to hand wave this bit. They just magically get out. So they do. They magically get out. They magically get the drummer girl out into the basket and down to the ground, and then they go back and they do the same for Sam. And they all live happily ever after.
Yeah. And even with Milo, we go back to Chim and Hen, who are putting a collar onto Milo, and then they lift him up on something.
Yeah, Chim teleports to Hen's side to do something. They're like 3, 2, 1, and...
Yeah, do they lift up...
We don't actually see what.
The chair that he's... Or whatever he's lying on?
Know.
Or have they got something underneath him?
Because we don't see.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't see.
Anyway, everybody
I'm
lives,
assuming that...
except for all the people who died in the original train crash. But everyone who we know is alive.
Yeah. It's a little bit touch and go with Milo because they get him out of the RV where he was trapped. They get him on a backboard. Everything's looking good, and then his brain realizes that his body is not connected to the head bone and stops sending signals.
Well, they throw back
the very
first,
important signal.
so they, like, we find out that they're homeless pretty much because the dad says that they're not living in the RV by choice. And Milo's like, what are you talking about, Dad? We're on an adventure. What do we always say? And Dad's like, maybe that's not the best thing to say right now. But then we go back to, like, what the dad was saying to Donatello earlier, and it's keep your head up, which is awkward because he's decapitated. But that's where he stops talking.
Yeah, because his brain has decided there's no body attached, so there's no reason to send signals to, do important things like breathing, which means that they have to intubate him in order to breathe for him, which is, a little bit tricky because if they move his neck too much, they're going to, complete the decapitation.
But Chim very helpfully explains why they're giving him whatever that chemical is, that the medicine that they're giving him. I can't pronounce that. But it'll stop the gag reflex. And it's like, oh, that's very good communication, Chim. Most paramedics would just probably do it without telling the dad what's happening. But... Or the audience.
Paramedics aren't, don't have an audience watching.
Yeah. We are actually taught in, like, first aid to always say what we're doing.
Okay, that's good.
And say it, like, out loud so that anyone, like, listening in knows as well.
I mean, it's probably important for other people who are helping you to know what you've already done.
Well, not only that, but, like, if you... Like, imagine if you're starting CPR on a woman and then someone... like, just wanders past and you're all of a sudden cutting their top off to put defibrillator pads on, but all they see is you cutting a woman's shirt off. Like, But yes, it's also a consent thing.
They managed to get the tube in and they put the collar back on, and we don't know if he's going to be okay yet, but seems okay for now. Sam is rescued in the basket and he gets out that way as well. He's asking after Abby, and a helicopter arrives because apparently these people are going to be medevaced out.
I think Chim called for the medivac.
Yeah, Chim called for the medivac and have the children's hospital and like a surgeon standing by.
Okay. That's probably a lot safer than taking an ambulance over some bumpy roads.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, Sam and Abby are reunited, and he like sees Buck and he says, "Oh, thank you." And Abby actually calls him by name, and Sam's like, "You're Buck?" So obviously Abby has told him about Buck.
And Buck sort of very sheepishly goes, "Yeah, it's nice to meet you. You know, I've been hanging out with you for the last hour or so, but yeah, I'm Buck." So they get Sam into the ambulance. Abby climbs up into the ambulance, maintaining eye contact with Buck the entire time. They shut the doors. She's still staring at Buck. Ambulance drives away. She's still staring at Buck. Eddie's kind of looking back and forth between the disappearing ambulance and Buck. And it's like, dude, are you okay? And Buck just says, "What's next?" Very President Bartlett of him. And then he runs off to find something else to do to distract him from what just happened, leaving Eddie like, what is going on here? Then we go to commercial. But before we go to commercial, we get another like pull back shot of the crash site with all of the ambulances and the pretty lights and the debris and the train carriages. Because something bad happened in this episode. Swear to God. And as has been the pattern, because we were just having a very emotional scene at the train derailment, when we come back from a commercial, we are with Athena.
It must be some time later, right? Because unless she's suddenly come to the decision that she's okay, she really is okay to talk about it now, and she's called Brooke Shields back immediately. But no,
it has
sometime later. She's ready to talk now. And she says she doesn't remember much about the attack itself, but the first clear memory she has is being in the ambulance. And she thought she was dying because the look on Bobby's face, he thought she was dying, so she thought she was. And Kara says, "But you didn't, you survived." Athena says she shouldn't have survived. He had me. I didn't even know he was there. I've been a police officer for 30 years and I've always been able to trust my gut, and now she's got doubts. So at least she realises that she should have called for backup before she went inside. She feels like she can't trust her instincts anymore. So will this be a wake-up call for Athena? Will this stop her from doing reckless things? Signs point to no.
Tune in next week to find out, but it won't be next week because it's the season finale. Yeah. So
yes.
Tune in a couple of months to find out.
Bless her. But it's going to take time for her to heal and try and regain her trust in herself, she says. So poor Josh doesn't get much of a run in this episode, but
No.
we have a brief scene with him giving his impact statement in court in front of Greg.
Which I understand is important to like finish off Josh's storyline, but why do we need it?
Yeah, it's a funny little addition.
I could understand it maybe if what Josh said on the stand was, you know, so terrible because it aligned with the other storylines and the episode title and everything like that, but it doesn't. It's...
No. I think it's just closing the door on that chapter.
No, I know. I just... Did it have to be now? Did it have to be in this episode? Did we actually have to close that door? I don't know. I will give them props that they did manage to drag Greg in for this one scene.
The real Greg.
The real Greg. And him sitting there in his prison jumpsuit kind of glaring at Josh while Josh is is giving him his little speech, where he says that he's going to be able to walk out of this courthouse and have drinks with friends, and Greg is going to be sitting in a box every morning thinking about Josh, and Josh can choose never to think about him again. Okay?
Good for you, Josh.
From the courthouse, we're going to go to the doctor's office, where we get the good news that the tumour has shrunk by almost 30%.
Yeah. It's a miracle.
Well, that's what Athena says.
Yeah. Michael says it's not a clean bill of health or anything, but it's a start. So
yeah, it's looking much more positive than it was.
Yeah.
So Athena is planning dinner so that Michael can share the good news. He's all for it. He wants to come over and tell the kids. But then the elevator dings and somebody gets onto the elevator, and Michael looks and sees that it's Dr. David from Powerless. And suddenly all plans of having dinner with the kids go straight out of his head, because last time he saw Dr. David, he was talking to another man and then sprinted out of the hospital just as Dr. David was going to ask him out.
Yeah.
So he needs to fix that.
Yeah. So he runs to the elevator and jumps on.
Slides inside.
Yeah.
And
Like,
goes,
he can't
where were
slide
we?"
into his DMs, so he literally slides into his elevator.
Yeah.
I will say Dr. David doesn't look upset to see Michael. So he's obviously forgiven him for, talking to another man and running off.
All right, so Buck has met up with Abby.
Ugh.
This is a very weird
Yes.
scene.
And Bex is very excited about this scene, apparently.
Oh my god. So it's Buck supposedly getting answers out of Abby. It's like they're catching up, and Abby says that she is sorry that Buck had to find out about Sam this way. And Buck's looking at her going like, that's what you're sorry for?
Yeah,
Not for, ghosting me?
Yeah, she doesn't say
or,
sorry for any of
know,
the rest of it at all.
No, I'm sorry you had to find out that I have a fiancé because you had to rescue him from a train carriage.
Yeah.
I wasn't actually planning on telling you at all. Oops.
Yeah. Yeah, she just fully ghosted him. Too awkward for Abby, I guess.
So she kind of explains, because Buck's like, did you know that you weren't coming back? Did you know that you were leaving me for good? And when did you know that you were leaving me? Was it in Morocco or Paris or Dublin, or when I was kissing you goodbye and promising that I would wait for you at the airport? And she explains that, like we kind of discussed in our sort of season 1 wrap-up when we were talking about Abby, that she was lost. She was all about other people, and then she left and she discovered who she was, and she was afraid that if she came back to Buck and to LA, that she would lose herself again. Even though she missed Buck, even though she wanted to see him, she wanted to keep herself more. And Buck takes all that in and then just goes, I'm glad to see you're happy. And then that's the end of the scene.
I mean, he handled it with a lot more grace than perhaps she deserved. But
let's finish the episode and then I can go off about it.
okay. All right. Okay, so it's party time, and this is the graduation party of the class of 2020, and all of Mum's dorky work friends are there.
And Mum's dorky work friends' family members.
Yes. So there's a few of May's friends who have just graduated as well, but most of the people seem to be like members of the 118 and their families.
Oh, I mean, you can tell that they just graduated because they're still wearing their mortarboards and graduation robes.
Yeah, as you do.
As
to
you
a
do.
party.
Yes.
I'm not even sure they're allowed to keep those.
I guess it
Depends if you've rented them or bought them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some schools you can rent them, in which case, no, you do have to hand them back. But if I know I had to rent my robes, but I had to buy my mortarboard. So
Okay, I'm pretty sure I rented both of them for my...
I never graduated, so can't answer this.
I don't have like a mortarboard lurking somewhere in my house, so I must have given it back.
I don't know where mine is. I did used to have it. Anyway, but how will people know if it's a graduation party if you don't have like actual graduates in the background to remind you?
Yeah. So, but I mean, I love this scene mostly just because everyone is having such a great time.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's so much fun. They've got a photo booth with props, and they've got various different combinations of cast members in the photo booth getting like dressed up and just hamming it up for the camera. Which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, including like, as you were so excited about, Alice, the beads scene.
The beads
Buck ends
scene,
up with a bunch of beads around, like they look like those Mardi Gras bead things around his neck, and then he accidentally jumps up and flips them into Eddie's face. I don't know how it happens, but Eddie's just
so Oliver like turns around and like smacks Ryan in the face, and then apologizes for it while Ryan's gone cross-eyed, and that was actually just them fucking around, and it was not scripted.
But it's so cute because the beads fly up and like hit Ryan in the face, and Ryan's like cross-eyed, and he sort of lifts a hand to sort of, make sure that his nose is still attached to his face, and Oliver is just like bending down and like hands like, oh my god, Ryan, are you okay? Are you okay? It's so cute.
Dorky work, friends.
There's also a giant guest book, and Buck's helping Chris like write his, but before he helps Chris with his, we see Buck's note, and like I don't know what the fuck is with Oliver's fuck ass handwriting, but you can barely read it. We can read "you did it," and then the second word looks like "cowardice," and it's like what?
I'm pretty sure it's congrats, but
it's definitely supposed to be congrats, but it looks like cowardice.
The N is stretched out. The T is a dot on top of it instead of a stroke.
Yeah.
It's just...
And then Buck looks like it's got an H at the end instead of a K.
I don't know if this is going to make it into the episode, but before we started like actually recording, there was a full like handwriting analysis of this and discussion about whether this was Oliver's handwriting or whether this was a prop person writing this. I think we came to the conclusion this is Oliver.
It's 100% Oliver. For some reason, they let him have a Sharpie. It to disastrous results. I'm pretty sure Buck should have just let Chris write his own, because like whenever we see Chris writing anything, it's amazing. So
it's difficult to write on a whiteboard, okay? Like on a vertical page.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, but
it's not that hard. Hardest thing about writing on
Cowardice.
The hardest thing about writing on a whiteboard is staying in a straight line and not like going up or down. But
true,
you should still be legible.
Yeah, or at least semi-legible.
I'm pretty sure that everything we've ever seen, quote unquote, Christopher write has been a prop person. I don't think they've ever let Gavin write anything.
Looks way too good to be a 7 or 8 year old or however old he is in season 3. Anyway, so Buck asks Chris what he wants his note to be, and it's "May your dreams come true, May."
Oh,
he's a funny kid.
So cute.
Speaking of May, she is posing with Maddie in the photo booth, and Maddie is asking her about whether she's excited about USC, and that Maddie knows that Athena's certainly excited about USC. And May's like, actually, do you have a minute? Because there's something that I wanted to talk to you about. Dun, dun, dun.
What's May going to talk to Megan about?
So they immediately drop everything and walk off.
Yes.
And then we go to the fire pit, which is where...
the money pit?
Yeah, just where the fire was. Karen calls it a money pit. And Michael's like, it's going to be great. And It's like,
No,
you don't see the greatness, Karen? Like,
it's apparently remote controlled. And, like, Hen is very skeptical that the remote is going to be able to light whatever that is.
yeah.
And Michael gets very insulted. He's like, and when he says it's going to be great, he then immediately storms off. He gets very sulky at these big parties.
Yeah.
Just in his house. Criticizing
his
house where he no longer lives.
His fire pit.
He doesn't even have the brain tumour to sort of explain why he's, being such a little bitch in this one.
Hang on, so is this fire pit inside the house?
Yep.
It's going to be, yes. It's going to be where that wall was that Bobby and Michael destroyed.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't seem safe at all, but he's an architect, so I'm sure he knows all about fire safety.
But I love that, like, Karen and Hen, and, like, Karen is just sort of looking at the construction, whatever, and Hen's like, it's greatness, but don't you see the greatness? And Karen's just like, no, I don't see the greatness. Which is either incredibly good acting from these two women, or they just let them ad-lib.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get more party shenanigans. Then we get a scene with Bobby and Athena where Bobby comes up behind Athena while she's doing something with the cake, and he startles her. Like, she literally jumps when he comes up behind her and puts his hand on her shoulder.
She does recover quickly, but it's still really sad.
Yeah.
Trauma. So much trauma for everybody. Anyway, he apologizes and said it was a great party. And she says she had time on her hands and May deserved it. It's been 30 years since she's been a civilian. I'm not sure you're ready to have me at home all the time. But Athena, you have been at home before this.
No, remember that time you got all of your taxes done like 7 months before they were required? Or that time that you took over cooking family lunch at the station because you had nothing better to do?
Yeah. Like, you were just suspended, Athena, but sure.
You've had plenty of time not working.
I feel like that suspension stuff was earlier this episode, right? I mean, earlier this season.
Yeah, it was earlier this season.
Anyway, let's not remember that.
No, because the writers didn't. But Bobby says that he could get used to Athena being at home. Because apparently he's also forgotten that he's had that experience before. But says that he's not going to get the chance to get used to her having at home because he knows that she can't wait to get back out there. And Athena's like, yeah, I can't wait to get back out there. And then Bobby walks away and the smile just drops off her face. It's like, yeah, woo, can't wait to get back out there.
Oh.
And then it wouldn't be a season finale without a montage with a voiceover, especially a voiceover that I don't really know ties into the episode.
Then we get some, like, flash forwards while the graduation's also happening. So yeah, we get a flash of Hen channeling her inner house by using the glass walls of the locker room to write notes on. And Chim walks up on the outside and holds up a copy of the MCAT prep guide and says, "Can I help?" So he's accepted.
Yeah, because we didn't mention that when they were dealing with Milo, Chim, fully meaning it this time, says that Hen is brilliant for managing to, intubate this kid without hurting him any further. Milo is going to live because of Hen, because she is actually brilliant, and he's come to accept that her brilliance is such that she really does deserve to be a doctor. So yes, this is him showing her that he has accepted that she is going to be a doctor and she's going to leave him and he's going to help her.
Yeah.
He doesn't need all of the fun words. He's going to, show his support.
Aww.
We also get a scene of Chris getting onto the bus for camp, and Eddie's waving goodbye, and he opens a card Chris made him that says, "You're going to have a great time, love, Christopher," which is in much better handwriting than Buck's on the guest card, but sure.
Oh, it's so cute, though, that he made a card for a dad that says you're going to have
I
a
love
great
Chris's
time.
cards. They're adorable.
You are going to have a great time with me not being around, Dad.
Oh.
Yeah. I think Chris is more worried about Eddie than about
Eddie.
camp.
Yeah. What else? We get Hen doing yet another practice test and hovering while Karen and Denny mark her paper. And then celebrating because I guess she got over the 5'11" that she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
We get Michael going on a date with David at a restaurant.
We go back to the graduation party where Buck apologizes to Bobby for the train. And Bobby goes, yeah, it's all right. We both got a little hot. Are you doing okay? Buck just goes, yeah, I think I am. So the voiceover has been through these scenes. And it's Maddie. And she's going, people tend to fear the unknown. We look ahead, but we also look away, afraid of what terrible things might be coming down the line. We survive because we don't face our fear alone. We band together and we find strength in numbers. Truthfully, the not knowing, that's not something we should fear. It's something we should embrace. It's what makes this all such a great adventure. Because this life, you have to be ready for anything.
Which doesn't really tie in with the episode title, but it does tie in with what happens next.
Yeah, so we go back to the graduation party and Chims goes up to Maddie and brings her a plate of food.
No, I think that's his plate of food. Like, she's talking to somebody and Chim's standing behind her and she spins around and he sees what he's eating and pulls a face and tells him that it smells terrible.
Yeah, and Chim says that it's the salmon thing that she loved last time she had it. And then he goes, I can't believe you're still not feeling well. Have you seen the doctor? Like, we haven't seen her not feeling well at all, but, like, she had a yawn. But, okay.
Again, with this is another line that makes me think that something went terribly wrong with this episode, because we've got the still not feeling well, yet we have not seen any evidence of Maddie not being well.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we had that yawn at the beginning of the episode, but there was no context to that yawn. There was no, oh my god, are you still, like, are you sleeping okay? Or, like, anything to explain that this is something that has been continuing, not just like a random yawn.
I think it's just Chim telling us rather than showing.
But I want them to, that's what I'm talking about. Something's gone wrong that they're not showing us that shit. They're resorting to telling us.
Yeah. Have you forgotten who wrote this? Because it's very tell not show. Anyway, Maddie immediately panics and goes, oh my god, we have to go right now. And she was like, what, why? And they just leave. Like, okay,
but
sure.
All right, we'll finish up and then I'll
I can feel a rant coming on.
So we're in Chimney's apartment because we still don't know where Maddie lives.
I think Maddie's in Witsec. We're not allowed to see her apartment.
She lives in the RV park. It's very awkward. And Chim's pacing back and forth. And he's like, anything yet? And Maddie goes, give me a minute. And Chim goes, it's already been over a minute. I mean, what's taking so long? I thought all you had to do was pee on A. And this is where Maddie comes out of the bathroom and holds up a, positive pregnancy test. And her face is, in shock. Chim's like, are you sure? And then she holds up another stick, which is also positive.
And then they have a little celebration about being pregnant. Like, Chim doesn't look
You're
too
pregnant? We're pregnant.
convinced to start with, and then they are both very excited about it.
No, I do love that. Like, Chim's like, you're pregnant, and Maddie's like, I didn't do this by myself, buddy. We're pregnant.
We're pregnant.
But yes, they both end up being very happy about the pregnancy and the fact that they're having a baby, and that's where the episode ends. Randomly. Okay, so...
All right, let us have it.
Let's start with the pregnancy one, because that's... So, the whole woman suddenly finds food disgusting equals pregnancy is like a well-established trope in TV shows and movies. It's a cliche. But we normally get more than one instance of woman finds food disgusting.
It was very sudden, wasn't it? Not.
It's like we saw... Yeah, it's like one time, oh my God, I must be pregnant. No, we need... Like, the audience needs to be able to put the dots together, so we need... In order for me to fully buy this storyline, we should have seen more examples of Maddie complaining that she was tired. We should have seen more examples of Maddie actually being nauseous and throwing up in the morning. And then you start connecting the dots. And when you get to the, oh my God, you're nauseous, you're throwing up. Oh my God, you're suddenly so tired. Oh my God, you find food disgusting. You must be pregnant. And they missed all of that and just jumped straight to the, oh my God, I'm pregnant. Which makes it...
The vomiting trope does my head in. I don't think I've known a single woman who, before they knew they were pregnant, was like full on vomiting at everything.
I think you can get it. Usually it's only people who have... It's a shorthand
in the movies.
Yeah, it is. It is a trope and like a cliche, you're right.
Like all the friends I've had that have had children, because I only have dogs, the first symptom is always extreme fatigue. Like, one of my friends, I knew she was pregnant before she did because she was super tired and I was, like, they were trying. And I was like, honey, have you taken a test? And she was just like, no, like, I've had a really busy week. And I was like, sweetheart, maybe take a test.
I've never felt like, okay, that's not true. I was going to say I've never felt such bone deep fatigue as when I was in my early pregnancy, but I have since then. But no,
after the baby's born,
I do know people who have really bad morning sickness and like to the point where they are throwing up so much they can't keep anything down, and often they have to go into hospital to get put on fluids because
but that's not normally
that will happen. That will happen very early.
That's not really the first sign.
No, but not with most people. No.
Yeah. But I mean, we've well established this show is not good on the realism. But the point is that like movie and TV tropes is tiredness plus nausea plus food equals pregnancy. It's like an easy way.
Half the time they don't even do the fatigue. It's just the vomiting.
Just the vomiting, but it's an easy way to signal to your audience what is happening, so the audience can feel clever when they put those very obvious clues together before the characters on the show do. But we don't get a chance to do that here. We get one clue and are suddenly expected to jump to the same conclusion that Maddie went to, which is like, you can't.
Yeah.
There's no way that, having watched this episode multiple times, there's no way that you can know that she's pregnant just from what we get to see of Maddie in this episode.
Yeah.
So interestingly, I was wondering whether this was a last minute addition to cover for Jennifer Love Hewitt being pregnant. So I was doing a little like backwards and forwards math, and turns out no, it's just standard woman on TV show is having sex and is in a relationship, therefore the only viable storyline for her is pregnancy. It just so happened that Maddie's storyline of being pregnant then later on coincides with one of Jennifer Love Hewitt's pregnancies.
Oh, well, they timed that very well,
but
then, didn't they?
There's no way that they could have known when they wrote this that she was going to be pregnant.
Yeah. So I assumed they shoehorned it in because she was pregnant. But
no. Because I've got so this season finished filming around January or February.
Yeah, but if it didn't air until, because they might have.
But Aiden wasn't born until August of 2021. So that's a fucking long pregnancy.
Okay, no, hang on. What's 9 months before August 2021?
November 2020.
And they'd already started filming season 4 by then.
Oh, there you go. Because I assumed that they'd filmed everything and then shoehorned it in, which is why it seemed so weird.
No, but then they aired this episode in May of 2020. So, Aiden wasn't even a twinkle in anyone's eye at this point.
Yeah.
It was literally just...
There you go.
Maddie either has cheating or pregnancy as her storyline. We can't do cheating because we just did that with trauma. So, therefore, we need pregnancy. And it just worked out that they started filming, they got to season 4, and they've got Maddie as like pregnancy storyline. Then she comes to the producers and goes, "Oh, actually, I am pregnant." And they've gone, "Well, that's great timing."
Yeah, because like it seems so shoehorned in.
Yes, but then that might also just be because of the way that the episode was edited together, because they finished filming in January, February, and then everything shut down.
Yeah.
So the last 4 episodes they had to work with whatever they had shot. They couldn't go back and do reshoots. They couldn't do ADR. They just had to deal with it. So things got probably shoved in order. Like, we need this storyline, but because it's going to build up for the next season, possibly, if we're ever allowed to have a next season, God knows what's going to happen, when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we're just going to shove it in because we need it there just in case.
Well, after having not known about the having to edit things in Tim Minear's home office, I think they did a brilliant job of finishing off the last few episodes then. Like, this episode is possibly the powerless one, but before that I hadn't really thought that the editors had done a bad job at all. I think the episodes flowed together pretty well. This episode's quite choppy, but like...
This one's not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, up till now, they did well working from their couches.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm sure that all of the editors have like actual proper computers in home offices.
I mean, it was the advent of working at home, wasn't it? So we all made do with what we had. Oh God, that seems like such a long time ago now. 5 years ago.
I know, it's insane. I was going through my phone earlier today, actually, to delete stuff because I was trying to clear space because my phone's almost full. And I can't possibly get rid of the dog photos. But yeah, like I got to like 2020 and I was like, oh my God. Like just so many photos of me like bored at work.
I was just going insane with my children at home. Trying to work.
It was a great time to not have children. And then I
remember
adopted a dog at the end of it and I was like, this was a terrible idea.
I was trying to work from home and homeschool 2 kids at the same time.
Yeah.
As well as do all the house stuff. It was nuts.
Yeah. Thankfully, our schools didn't close for much.
Can I rant about Abby now?
Yes.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
Because I love Abby. You guys know that I love Abby.
Yeah.
You know that I'm, like, big Abby supporter. I hated Abby in this episode.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Mostly because I don't understand why she had to be there for this episode.
They just want to bring her back.
But why?
Yeah, I mean, they gave Buck some closure.
Yeah.
But did he need the closure?
Well, I mean, Abby just kind of left him hanging. I mean...
But, like, he'd already moved on. We got the move on scene in, like, season 2.
Yeah.
Exactly. We had Haunted. We had him let her go. And there has been nothing sort of in the rest of season 2 or all of season 3 to indicate that Buck is still kind of hung up on her. There's been no...
Only the references to Abby in the last few episodes.
Well, but those were just to, signal that we were going to get Abby back. But, like, he was hooking up with Taylor, but there was none like, oh, I can't really hook up with you because I've got issues with women, apart from the fact that, like, I can't hook up with you because I don't want to disrespect you because I've learned not to disrespect women. But it wasn't that, my heart is with someone else.
Did Buck get with anyone this season?
No, because he's too tied up with Eddie.
Yeah, cool. Anyway.
But, like, there's been nothing to... there's been nothing to show us that that Abby has been a preoccupation, that he needed closure. They're just all of a sudden telling us, here she is, so that Buck can get closure that I don't think he really needed.
Yeah, no, I don't see the point of her being... It could have been anybody. But, I mean, it was nice to have her back for a little bit.
it was lovely to have her back, but the other thing that pissed me off is that she had such a dramatic reintroduction to the show, and then they did nothing with her. She went from making this absolute kick-ass 911 call to literally just standing by and watching the menfolk do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And like,
even
I know
after
that
like
she was
in season 1, we got to actually like, you know,
yeah,
pretending to save lives.
Yeah. I mean, I know that she's just a 911 dispatch. She doesn't have any medical training. She would be more of a hindrance than a help if she actually tried to pitch in and help. But
she could have gone looking for survivors, but no, instead she's just moved on with a fiance.
And she's just going to stand there and moon over these men while everyone else works around her. It feels like such a waste. And then when they do have that scene where she and Buck actually have a conversation, Buck doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
No.
It's all Abby. It's all Abby again talking about herself, which is fine. But I feel like if you were going to have closure, that you would want Buck to have more to say to her, to really explain. And I know that Tim Minear has, and this is why I don't read the interviews, because, you know, death of the author and everything like that, I don't care what his intention was, I only care about what actually comes across in the scene. But his interpretation of what happened in that episode was that, and I'm just going to read it, was that Buck feels mature to me at the end of that story. He feels like a guy who realizes that a chapter is over. It did them both some good, and he can't be angry at her. And
I feel like he can be angry at her.
Yes.
Why can he not be?
Can be angry at her. Why can't he tell her how he felt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can't he ask her about the letters that he sent? Like, did you get my letter? Can I please get some stuff off my chest? Instead of just, I'm happy that you're happy.
He does let it go very easily.
Which you could, chalk up to him being more mature and having gone through lots of therapy and everything. But I wanted so much more from Abby being back. And I did not get it. And it annoys me every single time we get to this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So it was literally since Haunted, which is the episode where he moves out. Right?
Mm.
Is that's Haunted?
That's Haunted.
Yeah, cool. So since Haunted, it has been 19 months. So apparently Abby found herself, found a guy with children, and got engaged in 19 months.
No, but how long had she been gone before Buck gave up on her? Because there was a good couple of months between the end of season 1 and episode 6 of season 2. So we say 2 years, at least.
Yeah, but 2 years. If you want to find yourself, don't jump into an engagement. Buck had so much more right to be angry about the fiancé thing. When she was I needed to find myself. And it's you haven't, though. You've just jumped into another relationship.
She found herself in another man's bed, apparently.
Yeah.
No.
Look, no, I'm not mad at Abby's storyline. I feel that that's perfectly acceptable, that she goes out, she finds herself in Europe, she meets someone, that relationship is a lot healthier for her than the relationship she had with Buck. I'm okay with that. I'm just pissed off that they dragged her back into the story for this episode.
Yeah.
That if they're going to bring her back, I wanted something more. I wanted either her to be a little bit more kick-ass of her own accord. She's apparently lost herself and just become completely incapable of doing and found herself, but she can't do anything without
my
Sam
life was
anymore.
all about helping people, so now I just don't help anyone. It's okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
what?
I used to be really proactive and now I just stand back and observe everything.
Whereas Maddie's whole life was not helping herself and helping other people. She escaped Doug, but she's still helping other people.
Her fiancé was in trouble inside the train. Maybe she was just having a panic.
I wish that she'd come back instead of doing the fiancé thing. She'd come back on her own merit.
Or she'd come back and done the fiancé thing, but just was more active in this episode. Had more of a role for herself in this episode. And I understand that they brought her back because it adds weight to the Sophie's choice of, do we save Sam? Do we save the girl? We have to save Sam because he's connected to Abby, but I have a feeling that Buck would be adamant that you had to save both of them regardless of who it was, because that's just Buck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he
didn't
doesn't want
need
anyone
that
to
extra-
die.
We've already, like, he doesn't need the extra emotional weight of, I have an emotional connection to this guy through Abby. It's just, there are two people here, and I'm going to save both of them, because that's who I am.
And, like, I feel like they're giving Abby a fiancé just so that Buck stops pining over her. But, like, they could have just had a mature conversation where Abby could have been like, you were great for me at the time, but, like, I've moved on now. Like, there could have been a conversation,
but
and
again,
there wasn't.
we didn't see the pining. There was no pining.
No. Like, there should have been more conversation. There should have been, but instead it was just like, oh, I've got a fiance, so you can't. And Buck's like, okay, cool, I've moved on.
Or this scenario happened at the end of season 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When the wounds are still fresh.
I feel
Then
like
the fiance
though,
thing would have been real fucking fresh, Jesus.
I feel like this is not the first time that I've thought this, and I may have said it before, that I think having such a big cast, like I love the fact they have a big ensemble cast, and it's great to see all their different stories coming together. But I think sometimes the fact that they have so many different people to follow around means that we don't get the full depth of story progression that we could for a lot of characters, because there's not enough time to like go into every single character's emotional journey through the whole of their arc for each season.
Yeah.
Which perhaps is what makes it such a great vehicle for fan fiction. Because there's plenty of gaps to be filled.
I think that it can be done with an ensemble. You just have to have writers that are willing to write for every single character and not have their preferred characters.
Yeah, and that's really difficult to juggle.
So, like, we might have more of Buck's, like, emotional progression with Abby if he wasn't relegated to the "but why" in, like, every second episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes, like, probably a lot more planning and finessing across the whole of the season, and we don't seem to have that.
Oh, I'm not saying that it's easy. It's probably really difficult to do when you have a rotating writer's room and not, like, you don't have the showrunner writing every single episode a la Shonda Rhimes or Aaron Sorkin, who have every single character's arc in their head and are pulling it out every episode.
Yeah.
But
anyway, maybe we should keep that until next week.
It just, I felt unfulfilled.
I love Abby. I wish that this episode had been more for her and for us.
Yeah.
I just think this episode is very weak, especially for a season finale.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the train, like, rescue scenes were really great. Like, high tension kind of nail-biting stuff, but
Except for when they didn't actually show us the rescue.
Yeah, that part, up until the rescue part.
Up until that part. Like, I liked the brief tension where you found out that they could only save one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And having the
That
argument in the car,
like,
and like all that
0.25 seconds of the tension, which then was completely useless because they saved both of them anyway and Buck did what he wanted.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very weirdly paced.
And then undercut with the fact that they kept cutting back to Athena just sitting at the table looking at her with a glass of wine.
Yeah, I just wish Athena's thing had been earlier in the season so she had more time to decompress from it, rather than literally 3 scenes.
Yeah, and we do say that in the past that, like, we have said in the past that characters don't get a chance to deal with their trauma. But she is dealing with her trauma. Well, she's attempting to deal with her trauma in this episode. But, yeah, weirdly cut in between the high kind of tension scenes with the train.
Yeah. Anyway, do you agree? Do you disagree? It's probably too late to tell us now.
Well, you can always leave a comment on this particular episode. Let us know.
Yeah.
But it may not make it to our season 3 wrap-up episode.
Yeah, I think by the time that listeners are listening to this, it will be too late. But you can always leave us comments and let us know. So next week we are going to do our wrap-up. Anything else to say about this episode before we go on, by the way?
I could keep ranting about this episode for a while, but I'm not going to because I actually want to go to bed at some point.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, but Bex.
No.
Season
ranting.
3? No. Season finals, season 3 or season 6?
Oh, fuck. Ooh. As in which is better or which is worse?
Well, like, it's 50-50, so whichever one's worse means the other one's better.
Season 3 is worse.
Wow.
Did not like the ending for season 6, but up until the last 5 minutes, it was a well-written, well-paced, well-shot, well-constructed episode. The ending just sucked. This one was Tim Minear just, like, everything was scattered on his living room floor and he's just picking up pieces and slapping them together and calling it a day.
If you're listening, Tim Minear, sorry. I'm sure you did your best.
No, we're mad at him.
We just didn't like
it.
it.
No. See, I think at this point he'd also mostly checked out of 911 because he was too busy with his new baby Lone Star.
Let us know what you thought of this episode, please. Be kind. You can leave us a comment on thatweewoo.com directly on this episode's post or in Spotify and all the usual places. Listen out for our next week episode, which will be our wrap-up for Season 3. And we will see you then. Bye.
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 911 is a fictional show, but many of the situations portrayed happen in the real world too. If any of the topics we've discussed in this episode have affected you, please know you're not alone. You can call or text numbers in your country for help. Just Google crisis support in your location to find out the number. If you enjoy our podcast, you can help us out by leaving us a review on Spotify or your preferred listening app, and by sharing our social media posts. Find out more at thatweewoo.com.
Tries to talk the older man off his ledge, tries to calm him down, just
tries to talk the older man off.
Okay, you know what? I'm done. I'm not talking anymore. I'm done. Good night.
Okay, look, the exciting part is about to happen, all right?
No.
We're hardly even into the episode yet.
Anything to do with getting off. Well, they're about to get off the train. So she's cute.
Lucky train. Poor you know how Eddie does the angry emoji and goes, Abby, his fiance's Abby. Ellen's just the angry emoji while editing this episode.
Yeah.
Ellen's just grabbing sound bites and slapping them down together. I don't care if this makes sense here. I'm putting it here.
That's what I do every week.
It's an homage to Tim Minear. I'm just going to stick this bit here and then I'm going to stick this bit here.
If it's good enough for Tim, then it's good enough for me.
All right.
All right. Let's get out of here. Okay.